All right, today we're jumping into one of the shortest, but wow, one of the most intense letters in the entire New Testament, to Thessalonians. This is a message that was literally forged in the middle of a crisis, and it was designed to bring crystal clear clarity right when a whole community was on the very brink of chaos. So, here's how we're going to break this all down. First up, we'll get a feel for the incredible pressure the Thessalonian church was under. Then, we're going to dig into the crazy, dangerous rumor that was spreading like wildfire. After that, we'll see how Paul steps in to clarify everything, and we'll wrap up with the really practical, hands-on advice he gave them for living with purpose. To really get this letter, we have to understand the backstory. Why was it written in the first place? Well, it wasn't just a friendly update. It was an urgent response to a community that was seriously struggling. And we're not talking about minor disagreements here. The believers in Thessalonica were facing intense, painful persecution just for their faith. This suffering is the backdrop for literally everything Paul writes. It makes his words so much more than just theology. This is urgent, frontline pastoral care. So his first move is just to encourage them. He's basically saying, hey, hold on, persevere through this. Because he needs them to know that their suffering isn't for nothing, and that justice is coming. That hope, that's the bedrock for the entire letter. Okay, now we get to the real hearts of the problem that Paul had to fix. Because as if being persecuted from the outside wasn't bad enough, a deeply destabilizing rumor was tearing through the church on the inside. And this was the question just causing all the chaos. Someone or some group was telling the church that the great day of the Lord, the return of Christ, had already happened. Can you just imagine hearing that? The panic? Did we miss it? Were we left behind? And this is so important. This wasn't some abstract theological debate. It had massive, real-world consequences. On one hand, you have this crippling anxiety and fear, but on the other, some people just figured, well, if it's all over, why am I still working? They just dropped their tools, stopped contributing, and started disrupting the entire community. So Paul has to step in and set the record straight. And he doesn't just dismiss it as a silly rumor. No. He gives them a clear, prophetic checklist to calm everybody down and bring some desperately needed clarity. He tells them in no uncertain terms, hey, the day of the Lord has not come. And how can they know for sure? Because two huge, public, totally unmissable events have to happen first. First, a great rebellion or apostasy. And second, this figure he calls the man of lawlessness has to be revealed. Since nobody had seen either of those things, they could breathe a sigh of relief. They hadn't missed a thing. Now let's just pause on this man of lawlessness for a second. This is a central figure in end times prophecy. And yeah, he's often identified as the Antichrist. Paul's crucial point is that this major league opponent has to show up on the world stage before the end can come. It's a clear public sign, not some secret event that they were supposed to be watching for. So with that fire put out, Paul kind of zooms out. He moves from just correcting misinformation to reminding them of the bigger picture and the deep, unshakable hope their faith offers them, even in the chaos. And what's so cool is you can see the beautiful balance of this letter right here. It's about so much more than just fixing one prophecy. Look at that. The prophetic clarity is just one piece of the pie, right alongside the call to persevere, the promise of God's justice, and the super down-to-earth importance of work and responsibility. And if you look closer at that theme of judgment, you see that Paul actually presents it as a source of great comfort. It's like a two-sided promise. On one side, God will bring justice to the people causing them so much pain. And on the other, believers are promised a future of glory with Christ. Now that is a powerful reason to keep going. And all this high-level theology, it builds to a really practical conclusion. Paul brings it all right down to earth, and he directly takes on that problem of idleness that had started to creep into the church. The crucial point here is this stark contrast. The problem? Idleness, which was totally fueled by bad theology. Paul's solution? Simple, direct, live productively. He commands them to work, to earn their own keep, and to not be a burden. See, in his mind, your hope for the future should always make you more responsible today, not less. And when you look at the book as a whole, you see this brilliant, logical flow. He starts with encouragement in chapter 1, then he moves to clarification in chapter 2, and he finishes with practical commands in chapter 3. It's just a masterclass in how to lead people through a crisis. So if you take one thing away from our little tour here, let it be this. 2 Thessalonians is a timeless guide.
It shows us how to hang on to hope when things get tough, how to find clarity when rumors are flying, and how to live a faithful, responsible life no matter what the future might hold.
And that really just leaves us with one final big question to chew on. Paul's message is that real hope for the future doesn't mean we check out of the present. It means we engage with it even more meaningfully. So the question for all of us is, how does our hope for the future actually shape how we live our lives today?